1 year ago, almost to the day, the world changed. Amid the overall chaos engulfing the Earth, seemingly getting worse day to day to day, a shining light cut through to save us all from losing our mind during the never-ending lockdowns. I'm of course talking about the launch of Animal Crossing: New Horizons. For those of you uninitiated, Animal Crossing is an idyllic life simulator / therapy session where you move to an island, pillage other nearby islands, farm your own food, build your own stuff, sell things in order to pay off a mysterious land baron, and suggestively invite other adorable little creatures to come and join you in your little paradise. It's a bit like a cult. But not all of those villagers are all that adorable. For every nauseatingly cute teddy bear, there's a villager with some real-world personality traits that may make you second guess if you want to bring them to your island paradise in the first place. Let's have a look at a whole island's worth of these unsavoury potential castaways. That's 10. Redrawn by me in order to show off their true colours. Let's start off small. The first villager is Eugene the koala. But why, I hear you ask? Koalas are cute, right? Wrong! While they might hide behind those fluffy ears, weird-shaped noses, koalas are aggressive, antisocial, and are capable of making some of the worst noises known to man. They also only eat eucalyptus. I get it, you can be a picky eater, that's fine, but eucalyptus is terrible for a koala. An adult koala's digestive system can withstand the poison from a eucalyptus plant up to a point. But once that point is reached, the uncontrollable liquid pooping starts. And what happens to all that poop? Nothing. It just flows down the bark of whatever tree they happen to be sitting in at that point. Unless, that is, there happens to be a baby around. And that's because their babies eat it. And the reason the babies eat their parents' poop is because it is less bad for them than eucalyptus leaves, which are their only food source. When a koala is born, they can't eat the only food that a koala can eat. That's a level of picky eating that I cannot get behind. On top of all that, over half of the koalas in Australia are infected with a particularly aggressive strain of chlamydia, which is constantly spreading due to the fact that adult male koalas are incredibly sexually aggressive. So why Eugene? There's plenty of other koalas who might move to your Animal Crossing island. Why pick on this guy? Well, according to the fountain of all Animal Crossing knowledge, Wikipedia, Eugene's personality trait is smug. So, not only is he a loud, physically and sexually aggressive ball of shit-covered fur, leaving a trail of chlamydia and malnourished babies in his wake, he's also proud of it. You, Eugene. Okay, now let's look at the frog community. Now, there are plenty of frogs in Animal Crossing, and none of them are uncontrollably spreading STIs while loudly screeching, as far as I know. They seem like a wholesome crowd, probably all towing the line, since they've almost certainly seen their friends and relatives being fished out of the streams and donated to the museum or sold to the shop, and are trying to avoid a similar fate themselves. But there is one frog who is not like the others. I'm talking about Prince. Now let's start with the more forgiving aspects of his personality. Firstly, his catchphrase. I get that it is slightly frog-like, but clearly he's just burping in your face. Rude, but hardly Eugene levels of savagery. He's also lazy, but I've spent most of today watching cooking shows on YouTube and eating Jaffa cakes, and people in glass houses really shouldn't be throwing rocks. No, my main problem with Prince is that when you really look closely, Prince is a person wearing the skin of a frog that he just killed. And who knows why? Maybe he's a resident representative from another island who got tired of the constant digging and building and listening to everyone else moan, and decided he wanted to spend the rest of his life sitting under a tree and burping. So he simply slaughtered the next living thing that he found and wore his skin like some kind of amphibious Ed Gein character. before fleeing to our island, where he could start fresh with no one aware of his murderous past. Now, you may think this is a stretch, but let's for a minute consider the wildly popular fairy tale trope of the frog that, once kissed, becomes a human. Specifically, what kind of human? A prince. Now, villager number 3 is no murderous frog, but does still hold strong connections to death. I'm talking about everyone's favourite disembodied rabbit, Coco. Now, while her wooden head and her name make her sound like a simple sentient coconut in a dress, her true origins can be found when we take a look at her Japanese name, Yayoi, and if we dive into the past a little bit. Now, Yayoi refers to a specific period of Japanese history, a period in which a tradition arose of decorating graves and burial sites with clay statues known as haniwa. Now, you may recognize these as being the inspiration behind the gyroids, which do appear in Animal Crossing games, and they were often buried alongside the dead, as well as being used to mark the boundaries of graves. So, assuming that this is the significance for her Japanese name, we can also assume that this poor girl has seen some stuff, which probably accounts for a vacant stare and overall creepy demeanor, as well as why in the past she's decorated her houses to look like crematoriums. Now, interestingly enough, her English name, Coco, also holds some sinister connotations. Many Hispanophone and Lusophone countries tell stories of a mythical monster, a ghost called the Coco, generally described as a shape-shifting death dealer. So maybe not the most ideal neighbor if you're looking for that carefree island life. Next up, we have Stitches. Now, I'm not talking about the wholesome rapper who has an AK-47 tattooed on his face, but something altogether more horrifying. Stitches is a bear cub villager who has clearly been made from parts harvested from other bear cub villagers. Every part of this walking abomination's body has been taken from another cub, creating a Frankenstein's monster-style scientific marvel lumbering its way around your island paradise. But this leads me to ask, why? What might be a likely origin story for this hellish experiment? Well, Stitch's first appearance in an Animal Crossing game was in Wild World, which means that he didn't exist in the universe in previous iterations of the game. A little more digging shows that there are plenty of villagers, both cub and otherwise, who didn't even make it to Wild World, who maybe had a showing in the earlier games and then mysteriously disappeared just before Stitches showed up. Did Tom Nook use these early villagers as some kind of guinea pig for his twisted actions, all in the name of science? It stands to reason that if the outside of Stitches' body is made up of other villagers, then so does the inside. So, is Stitches' pieced together body merely a vessel for the consciousness of some other poor deceased villager? Only one person knows that for sure. Hello, it's me. I'm editing, and I didn't realize when I was recording it how long this video is, so I've decided to cut it in two, which means if you want to see the rest of our Cursed Island villagers, then you're going to have to come back next week, or in 2 weeks, whenever the next video gets made. But until then, if you have any ideas on who might be included in the rest of this island rundown, then please drop a comment. If it's someone I've not thought of before, then maybe there'll be a part 3 to this video. You never know. Until then, don't forget to like, share and subscribe. All of that nonsense that you have to do to succeed on YouTube. Down below in the little box, there's links to Instagram, Twitter, website, Patreon. You know what the drill is. Thanks for watching. Stay safe. Be careful of koalas. See you next time.